In this video, as a new Docker captain, I'm starting the new series of videos about Docker, so stay tuned. I decided to go just straight away with doing something. I will explain what Docker is, how it works, what is containerization and so on later. Now let's do something. So here we are in AWS. So this will be also the lesson about AWS, but a very quick one, believe me. What I want to do is to launch one instance where I will run Docker containers, Docker engine. Okay, so let's go and create the new instance. It will take some time because for some reason everything is very slow in my computer today, but don't worry, I will speed up the things. All right, I will call my machine Docker. I will select Ubuntu as an operating system, the instance type. Let it stay with T2 micro. I need my keeper. So I just selected my keeper in order to be able to log in to the machine. I will use the existing security group, and for the purpose of this video, rest of things is okay. So let's launch the instance. Here I have my instance, and I will use this IP address in order to connect to it. So let's try. It's Ubuntu. I already have my keeper added, so if we list what we have, you can see I have this keeper added to my agent, and this is something what is probably surprising for many of you who are not using Windows for some time already. Yes, we can use SSH and we can use SSH agent, and everything works perfectly fine in PowerShell now for a couple of years, let's say. All right, so we are here. I want to log into my Ubuntu machine. For Ubuntu, AWS is giving us the user called Ubuntu, so I'm logging there using Ubuntu. I have my keys already there, so let me log in to the machine. Yep, I am on the machine, and I don't have the Docker command now. How to install Docker on Ubuntu? Well, we have a couple of options, but we're gonna use the official one, the one from the Docker documentation. So here we are in the Docker docs. And Docker docs you can find under the address docs.docker.com, and you start by default here in Docker desktop. What we want to select is Docker engine. Okay, so we are opening Docker engine, install Docker engine, and we want to go to Ubuntu, right? So here we have a couple of elements. We of course have the versions where we can install it, and so on and so on and so on. Now, important element. If you had installed something around Docker previously and you want to install the official package, official binary into the system, what you have to do is you have to remove docker.io, docker compose, v2, docker docs, and podman, because these packages may have some conflicts. Okay, so what we will do, you can run this command. Okay, let's run it. Let's run it to see what we can have. Okay, so I have here for pkg in docker.io, docker docs, docker compose, v2, podman docker, container d, and rank. I want to remove them. All right, so nothing was there. I didn't have anything installed, so I don't have it. Right now I want to install new Docker. Okay, so we will install it using apt repository. So in order to do that, we will use this set of commands. So let's copy it, and or maybe we will go one by one. So first of all, we have apt update. In Ubuntu, you have to refresh the index of installations in order to be able to install something new. So that's why we are doing this now. And when we did this refresh, we can check really if search for Docker probably. Yeah. So as we can see, we have different kind of packages like Docker IO, Docker registry, Docker doc, Docker compose v2, Docker compose, and so on here in our like default repository. We don't want to install them now. Okay. So let's clear the screen. We did the update. Let's install CA certificates and CURL. We need them in order to install new stuff to our system. We need to install curings. Okay. We also need to download and install the GPG key for Docker. Should I say for Docker registry or Docker repository? And now we need to change the privileges to this file. Let's see if we can see anything in this file. apt keyrings and Docker. So it is like GPG key, nothing fancy. Okay, so we did this, and now what we will do, we will add new file for our repositories. So what we are doing, first of all, we check the our architecture, what kind of the Ubuntu system we have. We use this key which we downloaded in order to sign our request. We will download the stable release for our Docker repository. Let's do it. And now when we go to etc apt sources list.d and we check the Docker, so we have new file here, and we have the information that we have this architecture Debian, architecture AMD 64, signed by this file. This is the target from which we will download the packages, and we want to use this for version noble and stable. All right. Now what we need to do, we need to update again. So we do sudo apt update. Why we need to do it? Because we have new repository. We need to collect the information. We need to collect the new indexes. We did it, and we are ready to go here and install all this stuff. Let's copy it and let's see what we have here. We have apt-get. Previously I used apt. The command here in the documentation say apt-get. They are the same behind the curtain. We install Docker CE, Docker CLI, containerd.io, Docker build X plugin, and Docker compose plugin. We don't need Docker compose because compose is now part of the Docker. So previously we ran docker-compose, now we run docker space compose. All right, so things are installed right now. Okay, let's check what we have more here. We have the installation from the packages and so on and so on. We don't need to do it, so we are done here. Now we can check if we have status docker. As we can see, Docker is run right now, and it is important to check this. It is enabled by default. So when we restart the machine, Docker will start. All right, so now as we are here, let's clear the screen. We installed a Docker and we checked that the Docker daemon is working. Now we can run our first Docker command. For example, let it be, to make things simple, we'll list all running containers. And of course, there will be none, to be clear, right? But let's see what will happen if I run Docker command docker ps. There is some problem, right? The easiest way to overcome this problem, and many people are doing this, is to run docker sudo docker ps, and now everything works. But this is very wrong way of doing things, because we don't want to run our workloads, we don't want to run our containers and so on using root account. We want to run it from our user. And as you remember, maybe I am Ubuntu user, right? So even if I do the ID, you'll see what kind of user I am. An interesting thing, if I go into the group file, we have something new. It's Docker. There is a group called Docker, and what we need to do in order to use Docker engine properly, we should add the users which will use Docker engine to Docker group. How to do it? We use command usermod, and we will add secondary group. That's why I'm using capital G. If I do this, I will just remove current group from my user and add new. So I need to use -G. The group is Docker for user Ubuntu. And of course, why it doesn't work? Because I need sudo. And another hint for you, probably I will do some video about some stuff related to bash. If I use sudo and 2 exclamation marks, I will repeat the previous command. So to not write the whole user mode and so on, I can do this. Of course, and I did the stupid mistake. So let's do the experiment again. Yes, and now sudo. It is executed. And now if I look to my group file, as you can see, to the group Docker, user Ubuntu was added. Now, as I am user Ubuntu, I need to relogin in order to collect all new privileges. So let's exit and let's log in again. And now if I do ID, you can see that user Ubuntu has the new group, right? Docker. And if I run docker ps right now, voila, I have it. All right, so now to wrap up, we installed Docker engine from official Docker repository. We configured the privileges and groups in the proper way in order to use Docker and the Docker engine, not from root user. And we also ensure that Docker is run and will be run after the restart. In the next video, we will start playing with containers, and probably I will start explaining a little bit what containerization really is. So see you there.